Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Brandon, and today I'm going to go over the fourth mode of the C major, the F Lydian. So let's get started. So, if you've been following, then you got an idea what's going on here. I've been going over the patterns in the C major, and I'll go over the first three that I've showed so far real quick, just to kind of refresh. So you got the C major, this is the C Ionian, this is the pattern. Then you got your D Dorian, which is starting on the D, still playing notes of the C. Then you got your E Phrygian, starting on the E and playing notes of the C again. And now we're up to the F. This is your F Lydian. The pattern goes like this. And I'm going to tell you the numbers. You got the 8th fret, 2nd string, 10th fret, 2nd string, 12th fret, 2nd string, 9th fret on your D string, your 3rd string, 10th fret on your D string, the 3rd string, the 12th fret, and then you got your 9th fret, and finally you got your 10th fret on your G. So now you go back to 1, you want to get that down. Again, you got the same pattern, and it will start on the 13th fret of the E string. That's your F note, and you play the same exact pattern. And then you got your 1st fret. You start the pattern up here too. It's the same pattern. So it's F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. That's your Lydian. That's the 4th. So if you're playing a progression and it's a 1-4 progression, that means you would be playing the C major and you would be playing the F major. The Lydian mode is another major scale. But again, for this method that I'm teaching, I'm just trying to get you all to get the patterns down first in each position before I go into all the theory and start confusing everybody. Because if you have a bass idea and a sound, to me that makes it easier when I start going into the theory part of it. You at least have a basic visual of the scale, and it will make it that much easier. So I'm not getting into all the theory yet. That's coming up in the next set of videos. This is the 4th video I made, and I got to do the next position, which is the G. Then you got the A, and then the B, and then the octave. And then once we get to the octave, I'm going to start back over and go into the triads and all the theory and all that stuff. So it's just important that you spend time learning these patterns. Again, that's the 4th pattern. That way, when we go into the theory, then you're going to have a kind of a better understanding. So after you get that fourth pattern, again, you want to start back over with the first one. And I explained all this in the other videos. You can go back and watch. But you would just run them. Then you want to go backwards. Oh, my bad. Let me start this again. Now, if you spent time in the patterns and you've come this far, then by now you should start hearing how it's connecting. And it should be much easier to get this fourth pattern down and go back and play all four of them together, because the more you progress each pattern, it's going to get easier if you spend the time. I can't do that for you. Even I make mistakes all the time. So you want to be able to play like that and just jump around. And if you spend the time on each individual pattern, then you should be where you can kind of move around and you get the hang of it. So I was going to play like something using the first and fourth patterns to kind of show where this is going to go eventually. Like we're going to start connecting. Like I said, you got your C and your F. That's your 1, 4. If you see a 1, 4, 5 progression, we're now up to the 1, 4, which you can jump these patterns around. So I'm going to play this little jam here. That's the 1. This is the 4. that's sort of like after we get through these patterns, then I'm going to go into that kind of stuff and show you how to do the chords and how to play little solos like that. And you can start making up your own solos. Because the whole point of learning all this is so you can start making your own music, which is what I do. And I think, in my opinion, that's the best way to learn music, is to make up your own. I mean, it's cool to learn other songs, and I've done that for years. But I spent 25 years. I learned theory in between, but I mostly knew songs. And I was at my friend's house one day, and this old 86-year-old man asked me to play for him. Because I would sit outside and talk to him. He'd sit outside, I'd sit outside, and I'd play my bass and stuff. And he'd be like, play something. And I just couldn't play anything, like, other than Metallica songs. You know what I mean? This dude's 86. He don't care about Metallica. And I was, like, embarrassed. Like, I felt like I've been playing all this time, and I couldn't play anything that I wrote because all I ever did was learn other people's music. So I told myself that day, I'm never gonna be embarrassed like that again. And I taught myself, and I stuck to it. And I started off doing these patterns like I'm showing y'all. And I broke them down one at a time like I'm showing y'all. And I spent time with them, you know, and that may not be, I see other people, they teach it, and they want you to, they're gonna teach you all of these patterns at one time in a video. And to me, that was always confusing. And I would just get confused and I would quit learning. So then I was getting discouraged after I told myself I wasn't going to give up again. I was starting to wanting to give up again. And I'm like, no, I can't give up. I got to figure out a way to learn this that will make sense to me. And the easiest way was I broke it down just like I'm doing here. And I started from that one pattern, and I spent a ton of time on that first pattern. Well, really it was the second, because I knew the major scale by then, and I knew a little bit of theory, but I never really studied the modes, and I knew the patterns but I never knew how to use them. And so I started thinking about, like, how would I use these patterns? And you know, 1-4-5 progression is a common progression. So I just started playing these patterns, 1, 4, and 5, which I haven't got to the fifth one. That song I played was 1 and 4, but that's exactly what I did. Is I would take the 1 and the 4, and I would just play back and forth in between them. And I done that for months on end, just practicing them patterns. And I just made up new ways of playing them. And it made my ear, like, after probably 8 weeks or so of playing them, they just sounded completely different. Like, I really heard, I don't hear F Lydian as a C major scale anymore. I used to, but it's still, technically it's a C major scale, but it's not. Once you burn that sound into your head, you hear the difference. And then when you listen to music and people play modal music, you're going to hear the difference. So that's why I stress getting these patterns down. And playing, you want to play each one, and then you want to practice jumping around. You know, and then you want to go maybe up this one, you just make up different ways. I'm trying to encourage you all to make up your own ways of doing it. Learn the patterns and make up your own way. Because I can't do that for you. Nobody can do that for you. You have to put the time in. And if you only got 5 minutes a day, then and you're on the fourth pattern, or say you got an hour a day, you can spend 5 minutes playing that pattern. You know, you don't have to spend all your time focusing on that one thing. You can still have fun and practice whatever else you want to practice. But when it comes time to focus and put some hard practice in, put it on that pattern, or whatever pattern you're on, and put that focus on that. And then still have fun jamming. If you're learning cover songs, don't ever stop doing that. Don't put all your time into boring stuff and discourage yourself. But you get these patterns down, and then when I go back through them, you have a more of an idea of what I'm trying to teach you. So, but you also got to take and learn how to be creative for yourself as well and mix up. And I'll get into showing you the chords and stuff. I use a loop pedal, but you can use backing tracks. And I'm not telling you to learn that little improv I just done. I was just trying to show the direction we're headed to. But I will teach those kind of stuff once we get through these patterns. So I'll go over that pattern one more time in this position. Hopefully you all can see that on the screen. I'll move up a little bit. And I'll say the note names one more time. So 8th fret, 2nd string, 10th fret, 2nd string, 12th fret, 2nd string, and then, where was I at? 9th fret, 3rd string, 10th fret, 3rd string, 12th fret, 3rd string, 9th fret, 4th string, 10th fret, 4th string, and that's the octave. And an octave is, if you don't know, so this is where we're going to leave off. And of course, there's other positions to play, but I'm trying to stress these positions for now. This is just sort of a way of getting everybody who's wanting to learn this and is going to be on with these videos an idea of what the modes sound like before I go in. I'll really get into the patterns and stuff when I go back over them again. But I'm just trying to give you all a starting point. And then also a cool way to play up and down this pattern that will keep you interested, you know. Once you get that pattern down, it's cool when, you know, you get into the triads, this pattern here. And none of this probably makes sense to anybody right now. That's not the point. The point is just to get the patterns down. And then we'll get into the deep stuff. But I was just trying, the way I learned it, and I'm trying to make it easy, an easier way of doing it, and the way I done it, because that's the way that I was thinking, was I simplified everything. Instead of trying to learn 7 patterns in a day, it's not going to happen. And a lot of people try and do that, or a week. I try to do it. And then what happens is, after a week, you don't know what the hell you're practicing, so you quit. It gets boring. And then all of a sudden, you was practicing for a week every day doing it. Well, then you skip a day, and then you just go and you're back to not learning again. So it's detrimental. And, you know, you got to spend the time spend more than one day on each pattern. I mean, it's a lifelong thing, honestly, but you want to burn them in. And because what will happen is you're going to get discouraged, and then 5 years from now, because this happened to me, 5 years from now, you're going to be in the same position. You're going to know a couple cover songs. You might still remember them patterns a little bit, but you won't get nothing out of it. But if you take the time and you put that extra time in, there is no such thing as too much extra time, you know. And that's the whole foundation to improv, is getting these patterns down, getting these modes down, and it's a lot easier than it seems. You know, I mean, you can make simple music out of stuff that you can play right away and learn how to improv pretty fast. You just got to get it in your head. So, with that being said, this is just a quick little video. And then tomorrow, I'm going to go into the G Mixolydian, or G Mixolydian is the next mode, and that will put us at 5, and that will give you the patterns to be able to play a 1-4-5, which is the most common chord progression of them all. And so you want to focus on getting these patterns down. Because otherwise, if you don't get them down, and I start talking about all this theory, you're just not going to have any clue with what's going on. And if you got the patterns down, you at least have a little bit of an idea, and it will make it easier. You know, that's the whole point, is I'm trying to make it easy. Because it doesn't have to be difficult. I made it easy, so I know it works. And I can play. I mean, I got a lot to study myself, but I got the pretty basics down, you know, and that's because I put the time in. I put the time into each pattern. I didn't skip out on it. But, you know, some people don't have that kind of time like I have. But if you just put a few minutes in, it will take you to another level. So I'm going to end it on that. Just learn that patterns. Go back through them again. Get that fourth one down. Don't forget about the second, first, second, and third. Go back through them all again while adding the fourth one in. You don't want to just move on and then forget about the other ones. You got to go back and then play them all in a line, up and down, up and down, up and down, and then start mixing it up. And it will come together. I promise it will, because once you get into the fourth and fifth, you're going to start hearing the how it's related to everything, and it's going to start making sense. It's going to start getting a little bit easier. And it only gets easier. It doesn't get harder. It does if you make it hard. But if you can simplify, like I simplify, then you can keep it to a comfortable level at all times, no matter where you progress, even to the more difficult stuff. If you know how to break it down, you can always keep it simple. And that's the key, keep it simple. If anything's hard, you're playing it wrong, you know, in my opinion. There's always a way to break it down and make it easy. So I appreciate all the support, and hopefully y'all are the ones who are watching these or learning them patterns. And I'll get on to the G tomorrow. So have a good day. Peace.